Hello friends, in this session we will try to understand one more method in amortized analysis, that is accounting method. We'll try to understand with couple of example how exactly accounting method works. The core concept of accounting method is similar to the prepaid recharge. Whenever we are doing prepaid recharge of a mobile, at that time some amount is already available in our account. As and when that amount is over, validity will be terminated. So same kind of thing is there in accounting method. Whenever there is any kind of analysis of an algorithm with respect to accounting method, it believes in overestimating the value. That means if n number of resources are required, it will try to assign n plus 1 resources so that availability should be always be there whenever we are performing an analysis. Let us try to understand accounting method in more depth. So we will charge ith operation a fictitious amortized cost, that is upper bound of cost of I. That means it is always taking more than what is required. Where $1 pays for 1 unit of work. So accounting method assigns different charges to different operations. Some are more than the actual cost and some are less. So this fee is consumed to perform the operation. In case if any amount is not immediately consumed, it is stored in the bank for use of subsequent operations. That means if any of the amount or some amount of the overestimated charge is balanced, in that case that balance amount or that remaining amount will be used for the further operations. It's like a bank balance or it is like a credit. So that should not go negative. That is a concern. And we should always ensure that for all n operations, that cost of all these operations, that is summation of I to n, should be always less than upper bound of that cost. That means balance should be always positive. Thus the total amortized cost provide an upper bound of the total true cost. Let us take some examples. As we have seen in the aggregate analysis, there is a stack example. These are the three operations. The first one is push operation, second one is pop operation, and the third one is multi-pop operation. Here you can find with respect to aggregate analysis, there is a difference. There was only cost calculation in aggregate analysis, but here there is an assigned cost and there is an actual cost. So for push operation, you can find there is a cost which is assigned 2, but actual cost which is involved, that is 1. So one unit is balanced here. For pop operation, the cost assigned is 0, but what is the actual cost? That is 1. That means whenever we are doing push operation, at that time itself it is charging the cost for pop operation. This is similar to the banking transactions. Whenever we are having a bank account and whenever we are doing IMPS or NEFT RTGS transactions through a bank is going to charge some amount every quarter. That means every 3 months or every 6 months, bank is charging us some amount. That is for the maintenance of our all the transactions. That means whatever transactions we are going to do or all the account holders are going to do, a specific charge, that is a cumulative charge, will be applied to each and every account holder. Whether you are doing the transactions or whether you are not doing, that charge is applicable for you. Same kind of thing is there in accounting method. So here there is no charge which is assigned to push operation, but there is a charge which is assigned to pop operation. Whenever you are doing NEFT, RTGS or IMPS through a bank account, same kind of scenario you can experience. There is one more operation, that is multi-pop. So this multi-pop is actually a classical example of NEFT RTGS transactions. You just consider whenever you are debiting the amount from your bank account, it is like a multi-pop operation. It is like a debit operation. It is like a pop operation. So whenever you are doing multiple transactions, what bank does? Bank will calculate the cumulative charge for all the transactions and it will assign only once. That means whenever you are doing the transaction, at that time there will not be any cost assigned. But at the end of 3 months, they will charge some nominal amount from your account. So this is how multi-pop operation is useful whenever we are doing accounting method, or we can analyze multi-pop operations according to the accounting method. Let us understand in more depth the stack example. When pushing any object, we are paying $2. So $1 for the push. $1 is a prepayment for it being popped by either pop or multi-pop. That means whenever we are pushing the amount at that time itself, it is taking the prepayment of further pop operation. That means whenever we are going to recharge our mobile at that time, definitely we are going to spend some amount from that particular balance. So that is like a prepaid. We are already having the balance, and until unless our balance is available, we can use that. Since each object has $1, which is a credit, the credit can never go negative. So therefore, the total amortized cost is big O of n. That is the upper bound of total actual cost. That means if we are doing n transactions, that will be upper bound of n. This is one example that is for push, pop and multi-pop operations of stack. There is one more example in accounting method, that is a binary counter. What exactly this binary counter is? Whenever we are writing 2 raised to 2, that is 4. So how we can write that? 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0 and 1, 1. So these are actually 4 digits. So whenever we are writing 2 raised to 3, at that time we are getting 8 digits. So that particular 2 raised to 2 or 2 raised to 3. So here 2 and 3 are nothing but k. So we are getting here k bit binary counter. How many permutations we can create, that depends on value of k. So if we have to calculate value of x, in that case we should take this summation of I is equal to 0 to k minus 1 a of I into 2 raised to I. You just consider the value of k is 3. So in that case k minus 1 will be 2. So I will range from 0 to 2 and it will get a of 0 into 2 raised to 0, that is 1. That means for I is equal to 0 we will get value 1. Value of x will be 1 and so on. So this is calculating the value of binary counter, and this is the increment operation for the same. Let us observe one diagram. So you can find this is a binary counter. This is a classical example of 4-bit binary counter. So how many values we are getting for 4-bit binary counter? That is 2 raised to 4. That is we are getting 16. So you can observe here we are getting 16. Now in this case, whenever the ripple operations are taking place or the flip operations are taking place, a of 0 will be flipped every operation n times. So a of 0 is getting flipped every time. Here it is 0, again here it is 1, again 0, again 1. But a raised to 1, a of 1, a of 1 is getting flipped every two operations. That means 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 0, 1, 1. A of 2 will get flipped every 4 operations, that is n divided by 2 raised to 2. So that is 4. So a of 2 will be 4. It is getting changed or it is getting shuffled every 4 operations, or it is getting flipped every 4 operations later. So 1, 2, 3, 4 here and 1, 2, 3, 4 here. So after every 4 iterations it is getting flipped. Similarly, a of 3 will get flipped every 8 operations. So you can get a of 3, it is getting flipped every 8 operations. So this can be analyzed by making use of accounting method. Whenever there are specific patterns in the flip of the elements of the binary elements, that can be analyzed by making use of that can be analyzed by making use of accounting method. As a conclusion, we can identify a of I will be flipped every 2 raised to I operations, that is n by 2 raised to I. So here you can understand 4-bit binary counter. The 4-bit binary counter will give values from 0 to 15 or 1 to 16, that is 2 raised to 4. So this is the rate of change of all the transactions which are there in n-bit binary counter. Let us go back and let us try to understand this particular example. Suppose the value of k is 4 here. So the value of x, how we can calculate for specific value of I? K minus 1 will be 3. Suppose I value is 1. So I will change from 1 to 3 and it will do summation. So a of I, that is a is an array, so that is indicate that is this array, this particular array. So this particular array is having total 4 bits. So its value will be calculated depending on changing value of I. So let us see how exactly this complexity analysis can be done. Consider a sequence of n increments. The worst case time to execute one increment is theta of k, as k elements are there or k bits are there. Therefore, the worst case time for n increments is n into theta of k, that is theta of n by k. But actually that is not correct, because as we are taking the upper bound, the worst case for n increments is only theta of n, which is less than the upper bound, that is theta of n by k. Okay, let us see why exactly this is happening. It has been explained over here. This particular diagram is explaining the shuffling or flipping of every n operations. So this is the accounting method for the binary counter. How exactly binary counter is working as a cumulative analysis? For 0th bit, it is changing every iteration. For first bit, it is changing every 2 iterations. For second bit, it is changing every 3 iterations, every 4 digits. And for third bit, it is changing after every 8 digits. So this is incrementing, and the flip operation is having specific pattern, and that pattern is identified in the accounting method. That is the only analysis from this one. So let us try to understand overall cost of n increments. So that is summation of I is equal to 1 to log of n, and that is mod of n divided by 2 raised to I. N is total number of increments. I is starting from 1. So if n is constant, if we are taking n outside, that is summation of 1 to I is equal to 1 to infinity, 1 divided by 2 raised to I. So this will be resulting into 2 of n. So that is actually theta of n. So average cost for each increment operation is theta of n divided by n, that is theta of 1. So this is the accounting analysis of binary counter. Thank you.